今天给大家带来的视频是一名巴基斯坦退役空军中队长的一段对话。这段对话深入分析了2025年印巴辛多尔行动空战冲突的背后真相，同时他指出，印度在情报、战略和政治层面遭遇系统性失败，并深入浅出地分析了中美军力的对比。下面我们就进入正片吧。喜欢看别忘了给 UP 一个点赞或者留下你精彩的评论。
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back on a brand new show. This is a special show. We have a special guest, Squadron Leader Ali Hamza joins us. Sir, how are you?
Thank you very much for having me. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm
Hope you are
good.
doing great also.
I'm good. It's a pleasure, honor to have you on our show. Before we lean into the program, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience about yourself and your craft, and then we can take it from there.
Yes, sure. So my name is Ali Hamza, as you have already told the audience, and I am a retired squadron leader from Pakistan Air Force. I was a fighter pilot and instructor pilot, and also I have some experience on helicopters too. So I have about 20 years of experience in the field of air power, right? Then after retiring, generally the pilots, they tend to go towards commercial flying, like you fly for PIA or maybe some foreign airlines, Emirates, etc. I have a keen interest in geopolitics, so I did my master's in international relations and then defense and strategic studies. And now I am doing MPhil in international relations because I want to join these two fields, air power and geopolitics, academically. So this is another like feather in my cap, alhamdulillah, that I am now a defense analyst and a student of international relations.
Again, sir, honor to have you on the show. Let's
Thank you.
begin from the latest first. So, Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, is in the US, and there's been a deal, and we've heard that F-35s are to be given to Saudi Arabia. How would this change the geopolitics of that region first, Saudi Arab and the Middle East?
Okay, so I think the audience, I think many of them will know, but once for anybody who is new to this, what you have to understand is that first of all, it is not the first time that any country in the region has been offered F-35. UAE is an example. In 2022, UAE accepted Israel, right? They made their relations, diplomatic relations, and F-35s were offered to United Arab Emirates Air Force. However, the deal with USA, I'll not say a deal with the devil, but it is very, very tough, right? So the conditions they were putting with this deal, F-35 towards UAE Air Force, the UAE Air Force and I think the government also, they were not happy. So in the end, UAE itself decided not to go with the F-35 deal. The US was willing to give them, but because of those conditions, they said we'll not buy them and they went for Rafale. Now they are buying
What
80 Rafale
conditions?
F4. Conditions like I'll tell you, there is not going into much technical details, but ODIN, ODIN. So if you just Google it, you'll say that is operational data integrated network, and we call them MDF, mission data files. So each and everything is being uploaded. Just imagine that you bought a mobile phone from a company like Apple iPhone or Samsung, and your each and everything is being monitored by them. So even if you are going to call me, if you're going to send a text, you're going to WhatsApp to somebody, etc., everything is going to the cloud and they are monitoring that, okay, so Mr. Ali is using this device or this machine, F-35 in this case, in this way. Secondly, this again, now coming to the geopolitical side, the United States has a rule. It's part of their law that we must keep QME, qualitative military edge of Israel in the region, right? So Egypt has F-16s, but Egypt does not have BVRs, the Beyond Visual Range Missiles, M120D. They have the Rafale from France, but they do not have Meteor because Israel said that we need to keep our military edge in the region. However, with UAE and like other countries leaning towards Israel, this QME is a bit less of a concern for United States right now, right? But I am 100% sure that this will be a deal, a part of the deal, that these aircraft, they cannot be used against Israel, or maybe they are only going towards Iran or any other country, etc., because it is very easy for Americans to cripple the supply chain of F-35. There is no, I'll say, kill switch. There was a controversy in Germany and Europe, also the NATO countries, that there is a kill switch in the F-35. Americans will just flip the switch and the aircraft will stop working. That is not true. Having said that, because of this modern avionics, the people from IT, they'll know better than me, the data fusion, sensor fusion, and then aircraft, the hardware's dependence on the software. It has increased so much that if you just stop giving them the updates to the software, the aircraft will just keep on standing on the ground and it will not be able to even fly. Or even maybe it is flying, you cannot use it operationally. So it is, in my humble opinion, it is no big deal, because even if, like Saudi Arabia, its deal is being signed and then it will take a lot of time. Once the F-35 come in Royal Saudi Air Force, it is just a matter of seconds that if the Americans think, although the Saudis will not use them in any way they don't want, but even if, for the sake of argument, Saudi is going for that. So as I have said, that without any kill switch, it is very, very easy for American state and companies, etc., Lockheed Martin, the manufacturer, they can literally cripple the F-35, right? So this is one of the biggest conditions. UAE was not happy with it. I don't know what's going to be the stance about Saudis if they get this same deal. The UAE rejected it, and I think so that either Americans will cut some slack to Saudis. The deal will not be that harsh. And even if it is the same deal, I don't think so that they are going for F-35, because that means that practically you cannot use that aircraft without asking USA that, okay, we want to use it here, we want to use it, etc. So this is going to be like a long row between these two. It's just one thing that Trump has agreed, that I'm giving you 48 F-35s. UAE's example is in my mind right now. So I'll wait for more details whether F-35 practically come in Saudi or not.
So why is everyone? First of all, what kind of a machine is the F-35? Why is everyone so crazy when it has this condition to it that everything is going to be shared with the Americans and they can cripple the machine? Is it so brilliant that people still want to have it?
Yeah, so excellent question. It has two reasons. First of all is that it is a crown jewel of NATO, not only USA. If I'll not go in the geopolitics of like Russia NATO war or US China war or not, but the point is that NATO had an enemy, Soviet Union, in Cold War, right? After the disintegration of Soviet Union, now Russia is the main successor state, and after this Russia-Ukraine ongoing war, NATO, especially Western European countries, whether it is UK, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, they are at the verge of thinking that we had to stop President Putin kinetically, right? But they do not have that power. So they want USA on their side. Now, USA, especially President Trump, he he has said more than enough times that I will not go in this war against Putin directly, right? But like apart from this context, just imagine that you have a plane, F-35, right? All the around 18 to 20 NATO countries are flying it. The number currently is in, I think it's 1,200, and the orders are close to 3,000, right? So maybe 3 to 4,000 airplanes of this aircraft with NATO countries and their partners. And either you're going to fight maybe in future Russia or China. So first and foremost thing is that it's technology, right? It's secret recipe or whatever you want to call it, right? Achilles heel, the silver bullet, etc. It should not go to the enemy. Like it's a top secret classified information. So if you are giving it to more and more and more countries, like India, maybe Saudi Arabia, etc., so the chances of this information leak, they are increasing. So first of all, the Americans, they have to keep a firm hand on the transfer of technology, that this will not go towards the Eastern Bloc, Russia, China, whatever. Secondly, this is the part by of I think the security, information security, and that espionage, etc. Second, like you said, it is a brilliant aircraft. There is no doubt about that, absolutely. And it goes both ways, right? Like I think you are from IT, so you better you'll understand this better than me, because The technology, it cuts both ways. It makes your life easier, but with a bug or any virus, once it comes to stand still, your life is going to be at a standstill because the technology is not working. So the F-35, an excellent machine, fifth generation aircraft. It is stealth. We call it low observability. You cannot pick it up on the radar. The Israelis very successfully used it against Iran, right? Maybe in Qatar, I don't know the details, but in the Qatar strike also, I think F-35s were used. So again, like excellent aircraft, but its dependence on this data fusion, software, and technology. So again, if Americans they stop it, like I said before, then this aircraft cannot work. Like older aircraft like F-16, Rafale, Eurofighter, the hardware was more important and the software, like it was of secondary importance. There are flight computers in these fourth generation aircraft also, but with these fifth generation and now sixth generation and the future autonomous Hollywood movies like Terminator, etc., and those machines, so the software it is becoming primary to the hardware. So even if you have that hardware, which is state of the art, and the companies they stop their software support, now that is only $100 million junk standing on your runway, and you are not going to do anything with it because the software is, as I'm saying, that it is now becoming primary to the hardware.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. So many questions. First of all, what are the other people doing? For example, just you're saying that America keeps this hand, keeps this hegemony over power, and that's because they're producing good military weapons. What about the French? What does the Dassault do? What does the Chinese do when they give away their planes? Do they keep a check? Do they keep these sort of eyes on their planes? And is there a threat that they can like stop softwares like you're saying?
So first of all, we need to understand that this fifth generation aircraft, F-35 and F-22, the only other operational, I'll say, and ready for export. It's a great debate. I'll not go in this podcast. We can do maybe some other that Russians have they made a fifth generation or not? So in my humble opinion, the Su-57 by Russia, it's not a fifth generation, right?
Okay.
So I'll keep to that side. If
Okay.
anybody in the audience he disagrees, we will go there
Okay.
later.
Okay.
For now, I'll just say two, USA and China. So the two stealth aircraft, fifth generation aircraft, F-22 and F-35. USA,
Yeah.
and two stealth aircraft, J-20 and J-35 by China, right? So China is very rapidly catching up to USA. For now, USA is the superpower. They are in a league of their own, but China is very rapidly gaining, right? They also have their two stealth aircraft. And now the important thing to understand is that except F-35, no other fifth generation aircraft, F-22 by USA, J-20 of China, and J-35 of China. They have not, all three. There are no export orders, not orders. People want to buy them, but they have not sent them across. F-22 and J-20, they are banned for export. Like the US Congress and the Chinese government, they say
Okay.
that F-22, it is only for USA. And similarly, J-20, it is only for China. However, the Chinese, they are going to sell us. Pakistan will be, inshallah, the first export customer of J-35, right? For now, in today's, whatever the date, I think it's 20th November, yeah. So right now, there is only one fifth generation aircraft, F-35, which is in export by USA.
Okay.
So that's first point to understand that except F-35, there is no other aircraft in the market right now, right? The French, the British, there are two programs. I'll briefly touch upon it. The French-led FCAS, Future Combat Aircraft System. It's a fifth, rather sixth generation program, but it's theoretical right now. So the French, Germany, and I think the third one is Italy or Spain. They are trying to make it number one, and another program which is UK-led. The British, it was Tempest, now it is GCAP, Global Combat Air Program. So UK, again, whether it's Spain or Italy, one on that side, one here, and Japan, the third one.
Oh.
So they are, for now, they are trying to make it, but actually they are a bit behind USA and China. So for now, I'll say that this 5th generation and 6th generation game, it is only being played by these two powers, USA and China. No other aircraft is in the market. South Korea is making one, KF-21. Turkey is making one, Khan, KAAN. Pakistan is also working on our own indigenous design. But for now in the market, I'll say that they're the only two countries who are ready to export, J-35 by China and F-35 by USA. Lastly, definitely this intellectual property, like India and this France, they are in a row because they want to buy more Rafales, 114, and they want TOT, transfer of technology. But the French are reluctant in giving them the source code, right? So the Western companies, generally, they are more, I'll say, stingy on this source code. The Chinese accept their top secret J20 and like classified information. Generally, they say, okay, fine, we have no problem. So there are no strings attached with generally this Chinese technology. However, the Western companies, especially Americans, they have a lot of conditions that we will monitor your usage and we will come and again see that whether you are giving this technology to any other country, etc. Even it was with our F-16s. There was a controversy that Pakistan cannot use F-16s against India. That is not correct, actually. But Pakistan can use F-16s against India. India has always been the aggressor in 2019 and 2025 also. However, from where this I think rumor stemmed was the conditions by the United States on this monitoring of F-16s once we got them in 2008 to 2010. So the Americans have more strict conditions than Chinese when it comes to their technology transfer or etc. This intellectual property, you can say, like the preservation of their intellectual property and maybe secrets, etc. Chinese are a bit open in this, much more open than the Western companies.
But this will become a problem in the near future. All the countries who are not making their aircrafts, they'll be dependent on other countries, and other countries, because of the 5th generation technology, the plane, the hardware will always be dependent on the software, which is coming from the mother company, which is from another. So this is going to be like, in the future, there's going to be no other way left to other than making your own aircraft. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And this is the reason that Pakistan Air Force, as I said, that now we are focusing even more on engineers maybe than pilots, because the pilot at the end, he's the end user and he is flying. But for this indigenization, right? I talked about NASTAP, National Aerospace Science and Technology Park. In Karachi, it's the chapter's name is Silicon. NASTAP Silicon. In Pindi, its name is Alpha Lahore Delta. So Pakistan Air Force has started working on this National Aerospace Program, and we are trying to make own softwares, own programs, own jet engines, own aircraft, etc. But obviously, like because of the resources and because it takes hundreds and billions of dollars, right? So USA and China in 2023, the figure for R&D by USA was $823 billion and $780 billion by China. So $800 billion, it's double the GDP of Pakistan. So unfortunately, every country is trying. You are absolutely right that we are trying to like shed away this dependence, but because of the resources, right, we are unfortunately still like going on the right track, but the speed is slow. And another important thing, like I'll just lastly mention the example of Turkey, because Turkey has been stung. Whatever you said, that Turkey is a classic textbook. Turkish case is a textbook example. They were a partner in an F-35 program, and they gave money, they gave their expertise, engineers, and I think 3 or 4 F-35s were built by Americans, the Lockheed Martin company for Turkish Air Force, and then they bought that S-400 air defense system from Russia.
Sure.
And the Americans, they sanctioned them. We call it CARTSA, Countering American Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. So they used CARTSA against their own NATO ally, and they stopped those F-35. And now Turkey is like really, really in hot waters. They are trying to buy Eurofighters. They are trying to make their own stealth 5th generation aircraft because the Americans have stopped their deliveries of F-35. So now Turkey has learned the hard way that if you are dependent on any other great power, it is like just a matter of time they can stop. Whether you are friend one day, maybe because of any reason, you are not a friend anymore. So that dependency point, you have hit it the nail on the head. Absolutely, I agree with you that this dependency is quite dangerous for your national security. But unfortunately, the resource intensive modern technology, it is like for the developing countries, it is a long way to
Headache,
go. So
yeah.
we are trying our best. Yeah, but unfortunately, as I said, that infrastructure, expertise, and last but not the least, hundreds of billions of dollars, we are like missing those,
Uh,
really, really missing those.
Ali bhai, will come to Pakistan's air power, but
Yeah,
before
sure.
that, we know that the military industry, the U.S. military, is not does not have a good reputation when it comes to delivering weapons on time. Like there's been examples of delays of decades, like literally decades. That is also a big problem when it comes to dealing with the military. So when we say that Saudi Arabia is going to have F-35s, when is this? This is going to take. This can take around 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. It may be more, but because the Saudis, I don't know the details of this agreement. I think if Mohammed bin Salman can ask President Trump that maybe the timeline should be reduced, it may be become less than 10 years. But as I already told you, that order book, it is beyond full. Like it is not full. They have to take like extra pages for the order book because they are currently I have not checked the latest numbers. I think it is 1100 or 1200, and the orders were more than 2500. And this was before this Saudi pact. And still now, I think there is no signature. Like it's all just talk and talk. Once you sign an agreement, then the delivery schedule is clearly mentioned in that. So if they say, okay, fine, we'll deliver aircraft to those, like if it is 1200 and 2500, so easily 1200 to 1300 F-35s are already in the backlog. So you add 48 Saudi F-35s to those, it will take definitely at least 5 to 6 years at an accelerated schedule. In the normal schedule, it will definitely take 8 to 10 years, maybe more, because as you have already rightly mentioned, Americans, they have their priorities somewhere else. So if something happens to their ally, their best friend Israel, or maybe something else happens around the globe, so they can very easily say that our strategic priorities lie there. So the Saudi brothers, you have to wait, and we will channel our resources like they have done with Zelensky in Ukraine. That Trump came and he said that, okay, now I want these weapons which were promised by Joe Biden to Ukraine, but I have to give this to air defense system, Patriot missiles, etc., to some other, maybe Israel, etc., or America's own defense, their issues with Venezuela or many other issues. So it's, as I said, one day if they decide that, okay, we're not going to deliver you on time because of these reasons, so they are the sole superpower for now. China is a rising power. You cannot do much about it. So the timeline will be, I'll wait, as I said, I'll wait for the official announcement, but for now you are right, it may be up to 10 years. Yes.
Because you mentioned China, let's take a dip of your view of what you think of China's air power. Did you see the parade, the Victory Day parade of China? What was the biggest takeaways? What do you still remember? What struck your mind?
So I'm still trying to learn about many of the weapons which I have seen, like the world has seen for the first time. So I'll just comment on those which I understood. There were many things which I was literally unable to understand. Like there were laser weapons and there were autonomous drones. I think 5 or 6 different types of those UAVs, UAS systems, drones, whatever you want to call it. Generally, the official term is US unmanned aircraft systems. In slang, drone is the easiest term. So those drones which are going to fly with the manned aircraft. So there will be one manned fighter that with a pilot sitting in it, and 3 4 autonomous drones, AI driven and controlled by that pilot and flying with that manned unmanned teaming loyal wingman. So there were 5 or 6 different designs of those loyal wingman drones, right? Then there were we call it A2AD, anti-access area denial, long range missiles, because the US Navy, again, it's I think audience must have seen the Tom Cruise in Top Gun 2, also Top Gun Maverick, and then the first Top Gun of 1986. So the US Navy and aircraft carriers, that like its power is immense. But what China has done is that the Chinese Navy is smaller, but many of those missiles, DF-61, DF-21, DF-17, and I don't even remember the names, there were so many. They can, like, theoretically, they can target those aircraft carriers or big ships in the Pacific and this like South China Sea, East China Sea. So the Chinese, what I'm trying to, like, coming to the heart of your question, just 10 to 15 years back in Pakistan also we have seen these Chinese mobile phones and etc. So the reputation of the Chinese weapon systems. I'm myself a pilot of Chinese aircraft. So the older Chinese aircraft, older Chinese weapon systems technology, they did not have a good reputation. I'll concede the point definitely, yeah. And the leapfrog, I'll say I'm trying to think of something more than leapfrog, because in 5 to 10 years, achieving what Chinese have achieved is tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous.
Quantum leap.
Within quantum leap, absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah. So within last 10 years, they have made quantum leaps in everything. And because I am a pilot, so I'll mainly focus on aircraft, etc. So what I'm trying to say here is that once Pakistan got this J-10C from China with PL-15 missiles, the Indians, they were right to think that Chinese weapons, Pakistan Air Force, come on, we have Rafale. Well, Rafale is Western. We do exercises with many of the air forces, like the Americans, also the Saudis, the Turkish Air Force, and we go there on a Lithuanian Eagle. They come here on Indus Shield. So everybody was skeptical. Like, they were saying, no, this J-10C plus PL-15, it's too good to be true. How good can be a Chinese aircraft? How can it, like, compete with the Western technology, the Americans with their F-15, F-16, and the French with their Rafale, and the British and Germans with Eurofighters? So before this 7th May, at least, like, we knew that the Chinese have improved a lot, because I have seen that transition literally with my own eyes, because I fly F-7PG. Like, there's a third generation aircraft, and the quality, definitely it is not like up to the par of these newer aircraft, F-16 and J-10C, Rafale, etc. But once J-10C, PL-15, HQ-9, these weapon systems, once they came within last 3 to 4 years, I'm 100% sure that this, like, speaks volumes about the vision of the top leadership, that they knew that, okay, fine, that weapon is at par. So I have seen with my own eyes the difference between the older Chinese weapons and these newer ones, right? But the world, again, I'll concede the point that if they were skeptical, I'll not blame them. Everybody around the world was saying that PF is making a mistake. They are buying Chinese weapons. They should go for the Western weapons, the United States. Again, number one in technology, the Europeans, Western Europeans especially, like France, Germany, UK, etc., Spain, they like, except France, the 4 countries, Italy, Spain, UK, and Germany, they are in a consortium now. They make this Eurofighter together, right? So it's like, if you are buying a Eurofighter, so you are buying from all those 4 countries. French are separate. They have their own this Rafale aircraft, and Americans, as I've already said, they are number one. They are the superpower. But the Chinese, now they are very, very rapidly closing the gap with USA. And in my humble opinion, they have crossed the Russians and the Western Europeans. So previously, if there were, like, you will say, number one is this USA, then the Western Europeans, the NATO countries, etc., and then the Russians, and then Chinese. Now, definitely it is number one is USA, number two is China. Chinese are far better than this European and Russian equipment, which again, as I said, that the people, if they still have any doubt, they just have to go and see the results of this 7th May skirmish, the Indian botched Operation Sindoor, because the Indians had only, they failed to understand this point. I'm not talking about professionalism of Indian Air Force and Pakistan Air Force. That's again something separate. But they actually thought that their Rafale is going to shoot J-10C because it is a Western system, and J-10C is a Chinese system. So the Chinese system they used to be below par, right? Now that myth is completely broken. The Chinese They are on the rise. And as I said, I'll not say they are number one. Number one is USA, definitely. But the gap is it's like 19-20, what we say in Urdu, right? So it's just they are breathing down the neck. They have crossed everybody else and they are breathing down the neck of Americans. And that parade, literally that parade has, I'll say the people in Pentagon, they are going crazy. They
That was my next
1.2
question.
billion
How
dollars.
would the
Yeah.
Americans be looking at this while looking at the parade? And also slip in one more question. The most, the a lot of people were saying these weapons that we have just watched in the parade have not been tested. So we really don't know how these drones or how these other new laser guns are going to work. But again, as you said, that if you have a doubt, we can see what Pakistan did to India. But still, those weapons were were not those weapons that we haven't seen. We're talking about lasers. So how do you see this as well?
Again, briefly, 2 points. First, I don't understand many of those weapons myself, right? So that was one thing. So if even somebody is skeptical, like I'm not saying American military commanders, they are very, very worried about China. I'm talking about the masses. Like if somebody, Adam or maybe somebody else is was sitting in California and he's watching and he'll say, "Oh yeah, the Chinese they just lie, right? And the most of these drones and these weapons and laser systems, these are just decoys. These are models. They'll not work actually, right?" So first point that you cannot afford to make this mistake in a war, like Indians did, because if I say that this is not an actual weapon and the Chinese are just trying to impress the people and they are just trying to maybe psychologically, these are psyops and they are trying to play with your mind. What if tomorrow you face that weapon and it actually works? So the problem is that the military leaders, they cannot think like masses that this is just a lie, etc. They have to actually find out whether those weapons work or not. Number one. Number two, as I've already said that the Indians made the same mistake. I think the Chinese have like now they have earned the right, like they have earned their credibility that once now if they claim like Americans, once Americans claim that our missile can shoot till 200 kilometers, nobody says that Americans are lying because in back of your mind you know that Americans have the capability. So I think that now Chinese have earned that right. They have earned the credibility that once they will say that our missile can shoot above 200 kilometers. As I'm time and again using example of Indians because it's the most recent. If you say no, they are lying. Their missile can only go till 150 kilometers. You are doing this at your own peril, right? So if you face that Chinese weapon and it actually fires till 200 kilometers, you are a goner, and that is your own mistake. So that is why what I was trying to say. I'll give an example to you also. If you just like the audience also, they because this it's all open source information, nobody from Pentagons tells me anything. I just also read these things online. So the US Navy and US Air Force, they went to Pentagon and they said that we need 1.2 billion dollars emergency fund because we want to accelerate the induction of the new BVR, beyond visual range missile, air to air missile, which is AIM 260 JATM. Anybody can Google it. So it will replace the current BVR M120 AMRAAM, which is like currently the main weapon air to air for this all the US Navy and US Air Force. F-18s on US Navy and F-16 and F-15 and the stealth aircraft we already talked about of US Air Force. So they know very well that their AMRAAM, it is being outranged, outgunned by the PL-15 of Chinese Air Force, PLA Air Force, we like People's Liberation Army Air Force and PLA Navy. So they are accelerating this AIM-260 induction, which is under trials right now, right? Because they know very well that if, God forbid, tomorrow something happens between USA and China, and both US aircraft and Chinese aircraft come face to face, the PL-15 outranges the AMRAAM, right? It is number one PVR in the world right now. So they know in their hearts that maybe not all of those weapons are going to threaten them in near future. Maybe some of them are still, I'll say, under testing or whatever. They have not been operationalized. But whatever China has right now, it definitely worries the US policymakers very much. And they'll not say maybe openly, but as I said, in their hearts and minds, they know that yes, China can outrange them in many different fields, air to air, maybe anti-access area denial, which I've already covered against the US Navy aircraft carriers, etc. So I'll next time once anybody will say that no, China is still not there, I'll tell them that okay, fine, this is your own opinion, but if you are underestimating Chinese, as I said, you are doing it at your own peril.
There you go. You mentioned the PL-15. That is the star of the war between India and Pakistan. Uh, because we have entered this discussion, what do you think was the biggest mistake? Was this an intelligence failure that they didn't know the range of PL-15, or was this intelligence given on purpose by someone to the Indians?
Again, you are absolutely spot on. It was an intelligence failure. Again, I don't know that whether it was given on purpose by us. If it was, then excellent. Number one, Pakistan Zindabad, because the deception is a part of war, right? So it is, the onus is not on me that I have to tell the exact ranges to my enemy. This is how the like war works, that you have to maybe tell your enemy that okay, I do not have this, but you actually have this. So this was their responsibility, number one, right? I think what I personally think was that they knew that Pakistan has this 200-kilometer PL-15, but they chose not to accept it for whatever reasons. This is their bigger intelligence failure, because they're one of their retired Air Chief Marshal, I think his name was Badhuria, Dhanoa, I mix them both, but you can check it out. Like a journalist was asking him some questions. He just retired, I think maybe 3 or 4 years back. He was in charge of Indian Air Force. And his words, I'll just quote his words, that we were thinking that Pakistanis have PL-15E, the export version, right? So if I go and Google PL-15E range, it will give me 145 kilometers. Right? If this is how the Indians they train for war, then I have my sympathies for their pilots, because this is not like you from where you get your information. But anyway, his words again, that Pakistanis had PL-15. We thought PEF had PL-15E, which had 145 kilometer range, so we could go close to 150 kilometer of their aircraft. However, Chinese had given them actual PL-15, which shoots beyond 200 kilometers. So they shot us at maybe 190 to 200 kilometers. So I don't know, maybe he's saying that Pakistanis cheated, or like it was our responsibility that, so sorry, brother, we will not shoot you beyond 150 kilometer because you think we have PL-15E. I am unable to understand, but this speaks volumes about their professional conduct.
But Ali
So
bhai,
long story short, the point is,
are there any
yeah,
exchange of informations between like such rivals? No, no. You don't have to tell anyone.
this goes against, like I said, that from since day one of the war, like PEF, I'll not PEF, Air Force, in 1903, the first aircraft flew, right? So this is one of the youngest arms of the military around the world. Navy is older, definitely, and Army is since the advent of time. So if you take any battle from Roman Empire till modern area, this deception, even it is like allowed, the lying, this kind of lying is allowed in our religion too. Like this is a part of your tactics. Sun Tzu, in his book The Art of War, he says all warfare is based on deception. When you are weak, appear strong. When you are strong, appear
Appear
weak,
weak.
right? And so on. Yeah. So first of all, with respectfully to retired Air Chief Marshal Badhuria, it was not my responsibility, right? It was your responsibility. If Pakistanis have successfully deceived Indians, again, excellent work by Pakistan. This is what counter intelligence and all like you are doing them
Is
trying
for.
to like stop espionage. Yeah, it's for everything. So Indians do this with us. We did them on that. So they failed, and it is our achievement, right? But I think, I know, I think the Chinese were claiming that this can go till 200 kilometers. And if I am an Indian and I am making a strategy to counter Pakistan, the first thing which I learned as a fighter pilot was once you are trying to make a game plan, give best options to the enemy and worst to yourself, right? So you hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. So if I am an Indian and I am preparing to counter this Pakistan Air Force threat, and I am 99% sure that they have PL-15E, which has 145-kilometer range. And I have 1% doubt that maybe they have that actual PL-15. Maybe they are lying. Maybe China has given them secretly, etc. So I will prepare for that 1%. I will take my defensive actions at 200 kilometers. It is literally beyond stupid. I don't like to belittle them. Like you have to respect your enemy, all that. And so I'll not go but what I really think about them. But I for the love of God, as a fighter pilot, I have flown with many air forces. You ask this question to anybody, whether he's an American pilot, whether he's a European pilot, he's a Russian pilot, that if you know that there is a chance that they have 200-kilometer missile, whether you will go blindly till 150-kilometer and then get shot down, or you will prepare for the worst. Each and everybody will say that we will prepare for the worst, even if I think that there is a small chance that their missile can shoot beyond 150-kilometer. I will not go directly till 150-kilometer without taking any precautions. There are many tactics. I'll not go into those details, but Indians could have done a lot better. I think they were in their own that machoism, Bollywood charisma of that one pilot will go and destroy whole Pakistan, etc. I think they were chest thumping and saying that, yes, we'll just take away Pakistanis like this. So that there is intelligence failure and their complacency, what they have in their mind. And it is not Pakistan's fault. It was not my responsibility to tell them that what are the actual ranges of my missiles. For God's sake, please, their air chief marshal should know better. I'll not say
We've
anything more than that.
we've had a lot of discussions on the India-Pakistan skirmish. A lot of experts, and we posed this same question with everyone, which is we want to know what would what would the Indian pilot be going through when he is being ordered to go and target something in Pakistan, and while he was returning, he was caught by these missiles. What would he be going through? You are in a good position, the best position, to tell us what an Indian pilot would see here when a few moments before.
So I think again I have some sympathy for Indian pilots. I always say Abhinandan, Wing Commander Abhinandan. We caught him in 2019. He's a professional pilot. He has not claimed yet that he has shot down an F-16 because I know he has not. Indians have given him Veer Chakra medal, etc. But I have never seen any interview in which he has claimed. So I have a lot of respect for him. So what I think is that as a pilot at a tactical level, you are a squadron leader or wing commander, you are dependent on the intelligence information given to you by the agencies. So once I am being told that the Pakistanis, they cannot shoot you beyond 150 kilometers, right? I am in that mindset, number one, that okay, I have an edge, I am superior, I have a better weapon system, and I'll just go and I'll thrash the Pakistanis like this, right? So as I said, overconfidence, complacency, and you're coming with that mindset that it's no big deal. Pakistan Air Force is a smaller Air Force. They have Chinese weapons, they have lesser range weapons, etc. But like now coming to the exact like that shoes of that pilot, if I am in that cockpit and I have seen my number three blown out of the air, now I know that okay, I have been lied to. It does not matter. It was intentional or unintentional, right? So I have given wrong information. If it was intentional, then I'll, what can I say that my government has lied to me, right? If it was unintentional, it is an intelligence failure, but like it is now beyond my hands. So the first thing is that I will definitely come out of that complacency and overconfidence, and I will start thinking, okay, Pakistanis have longer range missiles. Their weapon system, that J-10C, which I was thinking that it is below par, it is at par. with my weapon systems. Now, now a professional pilot, he will first of all, he'll say, what can I do in this situation, right? So he will try to improvise. I don't know Indians whether they did it or not, because I don't think so they did, because the number 7-0, 8-0, it speaks otherwise. But if it was me, number one, I would have started thinking, okay, fine, I have whatever, I haven't lied to, it was an intelligence failure, but the enemy is far more powerful than I was told, right? And it is not a piece of cake. So I am in like some really hot waters. So first thing for me, it is like this, but Indians, I don't think so they did it. And now once I landed back, I came out of the aircraft. Now I know the Indian government is lying to their own people, but I know very well that this much aircraft went. For example, Rafales 14, 16, 18, whatever the number they went on the mission, and 4 of them or 5 of them have not come back. Right? I mean, 3 never came back, 2 were damaged. So 2 were, I can see the damage, and 3 definitely they never came back. Now I'm sitting and I'm thinking, okay, my brothers in arms, comrades, they are fighting for their country, and we call them Shaheed, martyred, I don't know, whatever Indians. They also call them Shaheed, by the way, but anyhow. So they have been martyred, they have sacrificed their lives. And now just imagine, now Ali bhai, just think out about it like this, that my government disowns me, my comrades who were fallen in the battle, and the government is lying and saying, we don't know our pilots, they were not shot down, maybe they were shot down, and blah blah, and like all these things, these stories by their CDS, General Anil Chauhan, Air Marshal Bharti, etc. So now just like I'm starting to think, what's going on? I mean, my brave squadron pilot, he went to attack the enemy, and he never came back. Your intelligence failure, and now you are disowning him, right? Now, after 3-4 months, I see that they are saying that we have destroyed Pakistan Air Force F-16s, we have destroyed this. And as a pilot, I know that this is all a lie. So just think about my morale.
Yeah.
Like if I am a professional officer, I am just sitting and thinking, what kind of government do I have? And if next time, if I go against Pakistan and it is me who have not landed back, right?
Then will
So
happen.
the same thing will happen to me also.
I'm just trying to get to.
they'll say,
I'm just trying to get to the real time. Like this happened, and some of the Indian fighter pilots, they went back, they landed. They would be talking to each other, saying, "What happened? We were never trained for this. Who sent us there?" So what happens in that case? Would they be separated from the rest of the guys? Would they be told not to say anything? Because this is like demotivation, which will spread like a virus.
I think again, you are absolutely right that the saffronization of Indian military and now Indian Air Force, it has this Hindutva, Modi, RSS mentality. They have been threatened, right? Like for example, they cannot separate them, but they can call them in your like officer commanding's office and say that if you say these things to anybody, you will be prosecuted, and it is an official order, and if you disobey this order. So I think the morale is down, definitely down. In their heart, they know that what has actually happened, and they maybe in hushed tones they are talking to each other in whispers, but because of that threat that we will court-martial you, etc., and they are not talking openly, and you will not listen on any media, etc. But again, just think that how it is eating away inside you, right? And what is your level of confidence right now? And if something happens tomorrow, they are threatening their military leaders and their civilian leaders, 2.0, Sindoor 2.0. So if the same pilot is sent on 2.0, I'm 100% sure that he is not in the right mindset to fight, because in his heart, he knows that what's actually happening. He's afraid for his career. So he'll not say these things. And I'll quote an example of their senior most pilot, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh. Anybody can go and just Google it, his video. I think it was in March, Aero India. He's sitting in the cockpit of that trainer, Yashas, and he is just thrashing HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL. And there are 4-5 test pilot and everybody, and he's saying that the Tejas he's talking about Tejas, and there's no capability, and you are late, and I cannot fight with this, etc. So he's very, very unhappy like with the unprofessionalism of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited about all these projects which are late, the Kaveri engine, etc. If I go in the detail, it's a long list of their
Okay.
failures.
I
But the
want to.
point is,
Yeah. Continue.
yeah, sure. I'll just conclude
Yeah.
it. Then
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
we'll go to the next question. So the point is that he is not happy. Air Chief Marshal AP Singh is not happy with HAL. Now, fast forward to 4-5 months post Operation Sindoor, and he is standing there in the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited auditorium, and he's praising them. You are the best company, and you just preempt our needs, and you give us what we need before we know that we need it, and etc. etc. So I said, okay, software has been updated because this is not the same guy who was thrashing Hull 4-5 months back. So that's why I think that everybody in their military, he has been coerced politically, and the politicians and like Ajit Doval, their NSA, etc., or the intelligence agencies, they have literally, I think, threatened them that if you speak the truth, that what actually happened, we are going to just destroy your careers. Full stop.
So we
Yeah,
had Air
please go ahead. You
Marshal,
were going to ask something. Yeah.
we had Air Marshal Saeed Khan Saab. He told us that retired Saeed Khan Saab. He told us that a few of military intelligence people of India before Operation Sindoor was launched were fired because they told the Indian military that we don't have the capacity to do this right now. So because of that, Hindutva and they were very rash and they fired those guys, and then this happened, the Rafale thing. So I want to take a second, and take you back into the cockpit. So what happens when an enemy plane locks you in? What happens then? So you hear some sort of beeps. You can see it on the radar. What happens when an enemy aircraft locks you in?
Okay, so first, like Sir Said has said, I think there were some sackings in Air Force also. Like apart from military intelligence, the air officer commanding of the Western Air Command, he was just sacked. I don't remember his name. He was Air Marshal, serving Air Marshal, and he was sacked by the Modi government just I think a day or two before this Operation Sindoor. So there were many people who were saying that we cannot hack it, whatever your plan is against Pakistan, and they were all sidelined. So we have seen the result. So like you have already covered it. So the point is that the saffronization, the military is not thinking on their own, and the control is in the hands of the government, which is not very good because the professional military leaders, they should be able to tell the government that this is not going to work. Anyhow, coming to your question. So once you are sitting in a cockpit, as I said, that the hardware is becoming secondary. So you have a lot of avionics. Avionics is aviation electronics. So mainly you have your own radar, right? So you can lock the enemy with your own radar, and then if the enemy locks you, you have something called RWR, radar warning receiver. So it's as simple as that. That once somebody locks you, you know, and once you are locking somebody, definitely, on the radar scope, it's inside, we call it RIO, RIO, radar are used. Then there is HUD. If you see that heads up display, that glass panel with their green digits on it, and it shows you all the symbology of your like speed, your parameters, speed, altitude of the aircraft, etc. And then if you lock, the symbology changes, right? So there are many, I'll say, different gadgets or avionics which can be used, and you know very well. Then another thing is like for Rafael, I'll say its name is Spectra, EW, Electronic Warfare Suite. So there are different electronic countermeasures or electronic warfare suites in every aircraft. The French, they have this Spectra for Rafael, very good electronic warfare suite. And as many people before me, my seniors have said that Rafale is not a bad aircraft if employed well. So the problem is not with the Spectra EW suite or the Rafale's avionics. The problem was with the Indians,
Planning.
Their integration. Yeah, integration. They couldn't integrate it because what I'm trying to say here is this: the multi-domain operations of Pakistan Air Force. We have changed, alhamdulillah, our doctrine in the last 3 years. So now you do not only have the situational awareness or the data from your own sensors. Like I have told that the aircraft has a radar, the aircraft has RWR, radar warning receiver, then you have your SPJ, self-protection jammers, then you have your radio, somebody's calling you and telling you that there is one aircraft 60 miles, 12 o'clock to you, there is one at 80 miles, 10 o'clock to you, etc. So from all these things, now you also have because of these multi-domain operations, that with the use of data link, like there are other sensors, maybe in space, maybe they are ground-based. So multi-domains are space domain, land domain, cyber, right? Artificial intelligence. And you are getting all that data. It is being integrated. And then very simply, it is being shown on your scope so that you can know, okay, fine, there is one aircraft there. Now you have not locked the enemy, but you know that there is one aircraft there because my buddy, he has locked him, or he is watching him right now, or maybe a radar controller. He's in the AVAX, the airborne early warning control system, or a ground-based radar. He is looking at him through his radar, and then he is giving you the data through the tactical data link, TDL. And now you are sitting in the cockpit and you know exactly well. Okay, fine. So one is here, one is here, one is here, one is here. And then we call it sorting and contracting. Sorting is important because the Indians, they got some airliners in the way towards the north in Indian occupied Kashmir. So if there is a battle going on and you see that this is a lock and you just blindly fire, God forbid it can be a civilian airliner. So first is important thing is sorting, that IFF, identification of friend or foe, right? Is it a civilian? Is it a friendly? Is it adversary aircraft? Once that sorting is done, now you have to do the contracting, because if we are flying, okay, you are putting me in the cockpit, I'll put you in the cockpit also. So let's just go to the air. We are both flying and there are two aircraft, right? So now one is flown by me, one is flown by you. And we both lock one target and we both shoot our missiles on that one target, right? So that is like a wastage of effort because we could have shot down two Indian aircraft. So that is why contracting, after sorting, the contracting is important, that I'll say, okay, so number two, you are going to take out this one, maybe on the eastern side, and then I am going to shoot this one on the western side.
Wow.
So now I have given you a contract. So that's how it's like, I'm trying to oversimplify it, but it is actually quite complex in that time constrained environment because you are flying at the speed of sound. So around 1,000 kilometers per hour, and you are watching it, and you have just literally seconds. I'm not saying it like as a proverb that I have just seconds and etc. You literally have 3-4 seconds to decide. Then you give the contract, and then you just shoot it down. And if you are not going to do it, then definitely he is going to shoot you down because he also has BVR, beyond visual range missiles. So if you hesitate or you are not professional enough and you take a lot of time,